Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar for today, Supporting Your Students' Mental Health, provided to us by the Student Counseling Services here at UAB. And so we will give people a few more minutes to join us. They're joining us both live here on Zoom and on Facebook. So relax, sit back, get your lunch, and we will begin shortly. You are in the right place for today's webinar. So hang in there and we will begin shortly. Well, good morning, everybody, and we will begin our webinar in about one more minute. We still have families joining us here on Zoom and on Facebook, and we are delighted to have you here on this Thursday at noon time. And we have Dr. Angela Stowe with us today, and she will be joining us to talk to all of us about the wonderful support services available at UAB Counseling, and also about the importance of your students' mental health and how we support your students. So just a couple of housekeeping items as we allow more families to come in. The webinar is now on Zoom and being recorded, and it's going live on Facebook as well. You will have the opportunity to submit your questions via the Q&A section and through the comment section on Facebook, and we'll be glad to get to those questions at the very end. Also, our webinar will remain on Facebook, and so if you're not able to complete watching it today, or if you want to watch it later or share it with other people who may not be able to join us today, they can go back and view the webinar and even past webinars on our Facebook page. And this webinar will be uploaded to our website, uab.edu/families, within the next couple of weeks. So we hope not weeks. And so we hope that you all can revisit, and just if you need to ask any follow-up questions, you will be able to submit your questions through to our email, families@uab.edu. And Dr. Stowe will also provide a support email later for where you can also reach out to her. So without further ado, Dr. Stowe, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Carmen, and I'm happy to be here and have a chance to talk to families about how to support your students' mental health. This is, a big transition, going to college, whatever level somebody is. There is a lot that shows us that students are experiencing a lot of mental health concerns, and there are a lot of ways that families can support their students. So I'm going to start off with some strategies and things for you to think about how you can support your student. And then I'm going to also equip you with some information about our resources that you can share with your students as well, both in advance of a concern, just so they have the information, and also if they have more going on where they need some more immediate assistance. All right, so I think just to jump right in and start off with strategies is just be practical, be honest, be strategic in the communication you have with your student. If there is something that's on your mind about a concern or a potential stressor, share that with them in a way that just lets them know, hey, this is on my mind. I wanted to just chat a little bit about your mental health and how college is going. I think you can find your times to communicate and find your windows of opportunity. Anticipate maybe some of the stressors that they may experience. So going back for the fall, or if it's first time students going to school for the fall, there's always some anticipation along that, finding out what their class expectations are going to be and what that course load is going to be, if they're going to have a new living situation, if they are on their own for the first time, if they're living away from home, any changes that have happened, they have a new job to go along with that. There's some things that you can anticipate, and I think it's helpful to be honest about that, not in a way that gives advice, and we're going to talk about that, about what they should do, what they need to do, but more of a opening up the conversation to say, this is coming up, and I want to just kind of check in with you about how you're doing. You've got a lot of changes, or you have a lot of things that are going to be starting up soon. Give space, and think about how to give space without kind of hovering too much, but also being supportive. And that's a big balance when students move into that young adulthood phase of their life. There's a big transition in the family relationship with your student. And so how do you change that balance to where you're giving them space to do their thing, and also still staying close enough where you can offer support? And if you notice signs, reach out and ask directly. I think that's another part of the honest and strategic communication. As family members, you may notice changes in personality, changes in behavior or communication or appearance that other people may not notice. And it goes a long way just to mention, notice you haven't checked in as much as you usually do if they text or call a lot. Or, hey, I noticed that you seem a little more distant than you were previously if they're not sharing as much. Or, I noticed you seem to be a little more stressed than usual. I just want to check in and see if you're doing okay. So those are some things to think about with just practicing honest and strategic communication. I think another place where we really notice mental health concerns in our college students is about expectations. And there's several things around expectations that I want to touch on just to have you consider and think about. One is expectations that they may have about themselves. And students are putting a lot of pressure on themselves. Our UAB students are very driven. They're very competitive. They're highly involved. They're very engaged. They have a lot of expectations of doing well and performing well. And so a lot of what our students experience doesn't come from pressure from family. It may be pressure that they put on themselves. So thinking about how they might manage their own realistic expectations for themselves. And then think about the expectations you have for them. There are expectations that families have, and some are spoken expectations and some are unspoken expectations. But taking an opportunity to reflect on those and maybe even talk about those with your student. I want to just check in and see what kind of expectations you feel from us as your family and how that may be affecting you. Let me share with you what my expectations are, and check those out with your student. There's a real sense around college students, and we see this a lot at UAB, of a fear of failure, and that failing something, whether that's a test or an assignment, or even if it's a perceived failure, is a real crisis for some students. And that there's this sense of, I can't fail. If I fail, then I am a failure, not I made a mistake, or I didn't do as well as I could have or as well as I wanted to, but I am a failure and I am not going to be successful. That can be some language that we've seen our students internalize. So one of the things that you can do in supporting your student that can help their mental health is really try to shift to a growth mindset, and that failure or mistakes are normal part of the human experience. We've all made them. We have all been there, and that there's an opportunity to learn. So yes, you might have some mess to clean up from a mistake or a poor grade or something that happens that you messed up on. And there's also an opportunity to learn and move forward, and that is part of learning how to be an adult. It goes a long way to share some of your learning experiences, some of your own failures, some of your own mistakes that maybe you've made, and not so much to say, like, you think you messed up, let me show you what I did, although that can help your student maybe feel a little better. Also, what did you learn? Also, how did you get through it? What was helpful to you? Recognizing that our students really do feel a lot of expectations coming from all kinds of places. So is there a way for you to help them kind of be aware of those and manage those? The other thing where I think expectations we notice can be stressful for students is the expectation around meeting friends. There's a whole narrative that's been in our culture for many, many years about the college experience, that you're going to go and have the time of your life and meet your friends for life. And um, while that does happen for many, many people, the reality of it is it takes time to build relationships. It takes time to meet friends. It takes time to build those friendships. And so if there's a way to talk realistically with your student about what to expect with that, students aren't going to meet their best friends for life in the first month of being in college. And so how do you build those relationships? It is difficult. It does take time, especially if they come from a situation where they've had friends for a long time. And so setting up just what it really probably will be like and anticipating some of those challenges may take some of the pressure off, or perception that they're not doing as well as everybody else is. Some additional ways that you can provide support for your students is providing emotional support, as well as modeling healthy coping skills. And that's a really, really important one. When your student sees you taking care of yourself and your mental health and well-being being important to you, then that's something that they learn from you and can learn how to do for themselves. I think we offer our students all kinds of support in getting them ready for being a student, and that might be helping them move, that might be being available for helping them choose courses or make decisions that they have. Also providing that emotional support. Sometimes all they need is empathy and compassion. Man, you've got a lot on your plate. Sounds like you're really doing a great job managing everything that you have going on. Ooh, I can tell this is hard. And I really admire how hard you're working at balancing everything. Or if they do take a break, notice it. Sometimes it's easy to say, well, have you gotten this done? Have you working on this? How is this coming? Do you have that internship? Have you made a connection with that, grad program? Do you have a research lab? Whatever questions. If they're taking some time off, say, have you taken a break lately? Or good for you for taking some time off. We need to help encourage that balance. Teaching them how to have gratitude in response to challenges and reframing negative situations. Those are two skills that we really try to teach students to build their resiliency. Showing gratitude in a response doesn't mean that we're negating what happened. Let's say somebody didn't get the internship position that they wanted. They're very disappointed, discouraged, maybe even feeling like they're going to have to make a career change. Sometimes these things can impact them in a big way. We don't want to minimize the impact on them, but we do want to look at, is there something that they can be grateful for? While I didn't get this internship, I have learned a whole lot about this particular field and what it takes to get one. I can use that information as I regroup, or I'm really grateful that I have faculty who are supporting me in the next step. Gratitude can just help people change their perspective a little bit, not to minimize what's happened, but to help them see that there are more sides to what's going on than just the one that feels so awful. Reframing negative situations, and gratitude is a way to do that. What happens, happens. Mistakes happen, failure happens, disappointment happens. And many times we can't change what happened, but we can look at how we view it and how we can reframe it. Is there a way to help your student reframe what's happened, not in a way to negate it or minimize it, but in a way to kind of help them learn how to take what happened and move forward. These are really important skills. You can show how you've done that in the past. That can also be helpful too. When students know that they have the support of their families, it really does help them cope with their stressors. And they have a lot of stressors, building relationships, academics, career planning. Those are really some of the big ones. We also see students struggling, and this isn't specific mental health issues, but it's related to their mental health. We see them struggling with independent living, adulting. You know, they like to use that term as adulting, making decisions about safety and time management. These are all skills that, I mean, they really have to be learned. And a lot of times they're learned through trial and error. And so if there's ways that you can be gentle and support your student during their trial and error so that maybe they're not as hard on themselves, that can really help their mental health. So how do you know if they're struggling? I think that that's really important. Like I said, when we started out, families sometimes see things that other people don't because you've known your student for so long. But some things to pay attention to if they're particularly anxious or worried and in a way that it's affecting what they need to do on a day-to-day basis, or it's happening over a long period of time. If you notice that they're feeling and seem depressed or unhappy, if they're having emotional outbursts, and particularly if that's uncharacteristic of them, and their fuse seems shorter than usual, then that may mean they're having extra stress or concerns that you want to pay attention to. Sleep problems, any change in something like sleep, weight, or appetite, changes in feelings, any change from somebody's baseline is something to pay attention to check in on. If they're more withdrawn and seem to distance themselves, if they're not doing the things that have brought them joy or pleasure, or they typically try to do, maybe that's hanging out with friends or a hobby that they enjoy. If there seems to be an increase use in substances, feelings of feeling guilty or worthlessness. So just any of these in and of themselves doesn't mean that somebody has a mental health issue. It could be they're just having a hard day because they're human and we all do. But paying attention to, there's a lot of these symptoms that they're happening over time. And if you're noticing a change in their ability to just manage their day-to-day living. I mean, we see a large number of student population, and we see all students, undergrad, graduate, professional students, and we see students for all kinds of concerns. Our top reasons are really going to be anxiety, depression, and relationships are really our top, but we also see a lot of grief, students that have experienced trauma, definitely transition, and that could be first year transition, that could be graduating, ready to launch your career in life, that could be to grad school, that could be transitioning from one phase of your program to the next. There's all kinds of life transitions. It could be outside of academics, it could be something in your own personal life that's going to be changing, but that's going to affect you academically. Financial stress is a big stressor for our students that impacts their mental health. Having prolonged stress and anxiety over time, social anxiety, we see quite a bit, burnout, lack of motivation, exhaustion. So any of these may be things that students would come in for that we would work to help them with. Just some tips in thinking about how you talk to your students. So you might recognize something is going on. You may have a concern, but knowing exactly how to approach them. Here's a few things to keep in mind. Number one is respect. And, the way that I look at this is being able to state what observations you have about the concerns. What is it that's made you concerned? What are you noticing? Something has happened or something is going on that you're noticing and why you have a concern. And maybe it's just you want to check in because college students struggle. And so you can say that. That can be more affirming. rather than language that may come across as judgmental or non-approving. So just really approaching them. The second point is curiosity. I think open-ended questions, having a real attitude of curiosity. You know what? I attended a webinar and I learned a little bit about student mental health. And so I just want to check in. That's a great way to kind of have a soft entry into that conversation. Tell me a little bit about your mental health, or what have you noticed about your friends? How are people doing? This is what I understand, but I want to see what your experience is. Accepting your student as they are, and what that looks like is really hearing them and seeing them for if they do decide to share a struggle with you, or that they are under stress, being real cautious. And this is what we do to try to help people, is try to help them see their problem's not so bad. And that can end up minimizing. And when you minimize, or somebody feels minimized, they're going to shut down. And so you want to offer something that's more like, oh, it's hard for me to hear that you're having such a hard time, but I get it. I can tell you're struggling. So can we talk a little bit about some things that might help you? So a way to accept that how they say they are is how they are, not challenging that. Manage your own feelings. So at this point in their lives, you don't have control. As much as you know, because you've had life experience, how things may go or not go based on certain decisions they make. At the end of the day, they're going to make their own choices. And sometimes students do what we recommend, and many times they don't, and have to learn their own way. So if they're making choices about sleep or their friends or how they're spending their time, is there a way for you to manage your own feelings so that you can find a way to be able to connect better with your student and have conversations that are productive? If that makes sense. So letting go of your expectations and asking your student, well, that sounds like you're not getting a lot of sleep, and I'm concerned about your sleep because I know sleep affects everything. But it sounds like you're trying to figure out your best routine. Is there anything I can do to support you? You can state your concerns, but at the end of the day, understanding that they're going to make their decisions for many things. Instill hope when you can. Always encourage and reward help seeking. If they are talking with you and opening up to you, I'm really glad you shared that with me. While I might not be able to change the situation, it is good to know where you really are, and I want to be able to support you how I can. Let them know they're not alone. I mean, we see 10% of the student population at UAB, and we know that many more also seek additional support in other ways on campus. So you reward their help seeking. Let them know that that's why it's here, and that other students struggle as well. Because if they didn't, we wouldn't have this webinar if it was such a rare thing. So any way that you can instill hope and reward that talking and that help seeking. Encouraging students to be kind to themselves and show self-compassion, and that, we're all part of being human, and that all that they're experiencing, and you too, this isn't just students, we all have to realize that this is all part of the human experience. One of the things that I share with students is that when you feel critical and you notice that you're being critical, judgmental, angry, irritated, there's probably something going on with you, a lot of times related to stress. So pay attention to that, and what do you need to do to take care of yourself? Because we can usually have some signals that we need to take care of ourselves in the way that we act towards others. All right, so those are some tips, and now I want to tell you about some important resources, and some really great resources that we have for students, all kinds of types. The first is we had students tell us they wanted a peer-to-peer chat platform. And so we are really excited to offer students TogetherAll. That is free to all enrolled students. It is a 24/7 anonymous platform where they can connect with other students around the world. The thing that we really like about this is that it is monitored by a licensed professional. So it is not just a free-for-all out there. We would worry that if a student really had a concern like suicidal ideation or a real crisis, that other students wouldn't necessarily know how to help that student, but it is monitored by licensed professionals. So if somebody needs additional support, then they're able to intervene and get them connected with support that they need. It also helps manage what the conversation is, to just to monitor, to make sure that students are helping each other, that students who do submit, a post, that they get a response and that they're able to really have an engaging experience. So we get wonderful feedback from our students about TogetherAll. Once they join that community, they tend to return and find a lot of benefit for themselves, as well as the ability just to connect with other people. Another free digital resource for students is called TAO, and it stands for Therapy Assistance Online. And it has like a couple of hundred, it's so many different modules that are related to any kind of issue that your student might be encountering. Certainly things around stress, communication, relationship skills, but it also has things about time management or imposterism, or even for our older students that might be in graduate school or professional school, how to manage empty nest syndrome. So it's like you've got all kinds of topics that could be helpful, and including things about how to manage depression and anxiety. And it's all based on evidence-based therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, but it's interactive and it's presented in video modules, and students have an opportunity to really apply it to themselves. We get some great feedback about TAO. And again, this is a free resource. They can do this at any point in time they want to, if there's something they just need some additional information or support about. We have a whole menu of online resources that's on our website. So if you or your student is interested, these are things that are available for anybody. It doesn't involve coming for a counseling appointment. Most of the people that use these digital resources don't come in for one-on-one counseling, but they do want some mental health resources to build those skills and their resiliency. Also want to share about our collegiate recovery community. This is a peer-driven community for UAB students that are seeking to improve their relationship with substances. Also have a place where they can focus, if they have had substance use concerns, they can focus on their recovery with peers in a safe environment. They have the ability to attend weekly recovery meetings. They also have social events. We've got a lot of things like a lecture series. We have some different awareness things that happen on campus. We also have a dedicated space that has quiet room for study, or if they want to meet with a friend or they want to meet one-on-one with one of our staff, they can do that. Have a kitchen area, a place to socialize with other students. People do not have to be officially in recovery from a substance use concern to participate. They can simply come if they're wanting a safe, sober community to be around, or they're wanting to explore their relationship with substances. And students can also certainly schedule a counseling appointment if that is something that they're interested in as well. We offer distance and in-person appointments. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We have a staff of 16 licensed mental health providers available to provide support. If your student is living on campus, we also have a counselor in residence that provides services directly to the residential community. So there's drop-in hours and also some extended hours for students that live on campus. Students can web book that first appointment by going to our website, logging into their patient portal with their Blazer ID and password, and scheduling it as simply as that. They can do it from their phone, which makes it super easy. Appointments are free for enrolled students, and they are also confidential. And so it does not become part of a student's academic record, their educational record. It is completely separate and confidential, so that they can maintain their privacy. And then I wanted to say and what I think is like the best for last resource. This is an app that was envisioned by UAB students and developed by UAB that's called UAB Well. And it is a mental health app that's a one-stop shop. It's a hub for all the things mental health at UAB. It is free and it's downloadable, available in the App Store for Apple as well as Android devices. You can download it too if you want to check it out. What it has, everything that I've talked about today as far as resources are in this app. It also has a customizable self-care plan. Somebody can decide, here are the ways that I want to take care of myself, and then have a daily tracker and journal if they want to do that. During the school year, we have all of our events that may be about mental health and well-being. That has a live calendar feed through there. We've got a library of videos for meditation and mindfulness and even yoga, for students to try out some different exercises that they may want for their mental health and well-being. There's also links to campus resources. If somebody needs immediate assistance, there's crisis support as well through the app. So this is something that we really want students to just have right there in their palm of their hand, one place to go. And so I encourage you to check it out, share that with your student. They can go ahead and get started with that right away. And I think the takeaway message that we really want families as well as students to really hear is this phrase from our UAB Cares Suicide Prevention Initiative: you matter, you're important, you are not alone. There are a number of resources at UAB and people trained and people that really care about our students, that we want to help connect them with the resources that will help them be successful. We also know you're a big part of their lives and really appreciate you listening to this webinar, so that you have resources that you could share with them. And, you know, to be honest, I think most students, they really doesn't click with them about resources we have until they may need them. So you might just bookmark some of these. We're probably right now, they may be fine because they're enjoying their summer. But come fall, some of those difficult times during the semester, like exams, might be something that they would be open to, just seeing what kind of resources are available, because that's when it gets a little more stressful. We certainly are here to answer your questions and provide support, and I really appreciate your support of your student as well. And after that, I can open it up for any questions.
Well, thank you, Dr. Stowe. This is wonderful. And as you all can see, there are plenty of resources, and I encourage you all to check that UAB Well app. It has all of these resources in one location. And I believe it's also useful for families if they want to, you know, start tracking or start finding a way to track their health and well-being in that sense. So again, you have the opportunity to submit your questions through the Q&A section and through Facebook. I'm monitoring both, and invite you to also reach out to the counseling services if you have additional questions, and also to email us if you have questions, and we will be able to route your questions to the appropriate campus partners. So I also want to take this opportunity to show and share with you a little bit about something that you can find on our website. So if you go to our website, uab.edu/families, on it you will find a resource among the many things that are on our website. It's called Blazer Well, and so it is a family guide to support your students' health and well-being. We care a lot about our students, and we know that family is key in helping student success. So this guide helps you have those conversations. It also directs you in the right way to the resources you might need. It has contact information, so you can access it through going to our website under Blazer Well, and then you can scroll through each one of the pages. A great addition that's coming up, hopefully by the beginning of the fall semester, if not earlier, is we're digitizing this. So we're going to make it more user-friendly, and you will be able to also view it in a more easy way when you're away and you don't have access. But this is a great resource to have. Some of you, if you already have a student at UAB, you may have gotten the hard copy last year, but this is up on our website and you can scroll through it. There's different sections in it, from counseling services to wellness promotion or collegiate recovery, and just a lot of information in there. So we encourage you to see that and visit it as well. So as we wait for any questions on seeing Facebook and Zoom, we first of all, again, want to thank you for being here today. And I'll take the opportunity also to make another slight commercial, and it is to remind you about the upcoming webinars that we have. So these are the webinars that are coming up within the next couple of weeks. We've gone through the kind of first 7, I'd like to say 8 with today. But all of these webinars, Campus Safety Health Services, are all on our website under webinars. And so you look at the 2024 webinars, and you can also go back and see the recorded version of all of these webinars. Plus, they're already live on Facebook, and they're staying on Facebook for you to see them. There's webinars coming up within the next hour or two. We have wellness promotion, and then we have all of these other webinars coming up for the remainder of the summer. And we will be adding webinars throughout the fall as well. So stay tuned for those. So I'm not seeing any questions right now. And I know that this sometimes talking about mental health and is a very personal issue, and it requires, maybe it's a one-on-one conversation. So again, reach out to Dr. Stowe or Counseling Services. Look at the Blazer Well publication, and we hope that you find all that information important. Is there any last minute tips that you would like to give our families and our students as they prepare to finish their summer and then come back to campus?
I think the thing I like to encourage people to do is enjoy your summer. Taking time to relax and play and be with people is super important for your mental health and well-being. So enjoy all the ways that you can to do that. And we look forward to seeing students back in August.
We do. So I guess we don't have any questions at this moment, but again, thank you everybody for being here today. And we hope you can share this video with other family members who were not able to attend. And we are excited to greet everybody and have you all back on campus in the fall. But as of now, enjoy your summer, make the most of it, and cherish all those experiences and the people in your life. So thank you very much, Dr. Stowe, and thank you everybody for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.